On today's show,
can the Pistons still make the playoffs? And has young Nance already stolen Tristan's starting spot?
Ricky Davis joins us on set to talk about some of the best dunks in his career.
And in the Up-Down report, Lance Stephenson gets a taste of his own medicine.
It's Tuesday, March 6th. Starter starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Whether you're joining us live right now on NBA TV, watching later on YouTube, maybe listening to the podcast, we're very happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
I cut my hair short to make me look younger than I am.
Two is right. It's the international man of mystery taking it to the max. Lee Ellis.
Fran.
Lele.
Ooh, Lily. And last, certainly not least, over yonder. Yes, right there. That is the bearded one. That's Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey, yo! TK, what's up, man?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And guys, tonight on TNT, it's players only, baby! As the Rockets take on the Thunder starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by Pelicans and Clippers. Should be fun. But also fun are puns, and our producer Matt got some great ones started on Twitter earlier today when he posted a picture of some pliers along with the simple caption, "Pliers only, baby!" To which your boy responded with a picture of some beaches, "Playas only, baby," taking it international. But then things really kicked up when Starters fan Michael Swander replied with a picture of Dennis Scott holding a pair of pliers, to which I responded with a picture of Dennis Scott holding a pair of pliers on a beach. That's a player holding pliers on La Playa only, baby. This is where you come on. We need you to hit us on our Twitter account, our award-winning Twitter account.
Great use of Twitter.
With greatest use of Twitter. That's us. No big deal. Anyways, we need you to hit us with your best only babies, along with some accompanying pictures. PETA's only baby, Play-Doh only baby. You get it. Send us the tweets. Send us the pictures. Use #TheStarters. We'll check them out a little bit later, baby.
All right. Definitely one of the weirder questions we've asked the people.
For sure.
So let's see what they come up with. All right, we got a fun show tonight. Ricky Davis is going to join us live in studio. We'll also discuss the possibility of the NBA getting rid of that one-and-done rule. We'll get into that, and we got Lely's very solid play. But let's start tonight with a little lock it in. It's been a while. Trey's going to hit us with some NBA predictions or statements. We'll debate the likelihood of each one coming true. If he's on board and he's 100% convinced, he locks it in by pressing that button. And if not,
Right, my man.
and if not, it's just on to the next one.
I'm smashing
On to
this
the
button.
next one. All
Smashing it. First one. The Pistons lost to the Cavs last night. That's their third straight loss, and after starting 4-0 with Blake Griffin, they've lost 9 of their last 11 games. They're currently in 9th place, and they got a fairly easy schedule remaining, but as it stands now, the Pistons are 5 games out of the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. It's looking like the Pistons won't make the playoffs, but should I?
I think so.
I agree. Yeah, they're 5 games back. They just came off an 0-3 road trip. They've got a road-heavy schedule where they struggle. I think you can lock it in. You got to bring in another guy in Reggie Jackson in a couple weeks who hasn't played with Blake Griffin quite yet. And just a note on those two and their chemistry. Blake Griffin was on a 500 team basically in Los Angeles with DeAndre Jordan and basically an all-star guard, Lou Williams. He didn't get named, but he had an all-star-like season. So I think it should have been expected that without Reggie Jackson in the lineup, and Andre Drummond beside him, that they weren't going to be great. They need Reggie Jackson to be back, and that's the issue going forward.
You're right.
Is Reggie going to be healthy? Is Blake going to be healthy?
Right.
You know, and hopefully they can get it together. But it should be expected. Blake can't be the ball handler, the scorer. He can't be everything on that team. He needs a ball handler beside him.
I would agree. I think we have our 8 teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think the Hornets and the Pistons are just too far back at this point.
Even if the Pistons go on a hot streak right now, it's hard to see the Heat, the Sixers, and the Bucks all losing enough for them to get in. You talk about they're bad on the road. They've got a 6-game road trip still to go out of 10 games they've got on the road where they're just not a very good team. But more concerning is they've actually got to start thinking about next season and the year beyond. They've already got $117 million committed to next year, 110 the year after. That's according to Basketball Reference. So they brought in Blake and to play alongside Andre Drummond there. So far, it's a very small sample size. It's not working out. But if this is going to work, they have to find a way to get some other players in there. They don't have cap space. I'm not really sure how they're going to do it.
What does this mean for the future of Stan Van Gundy with this organization too? Because you got the New York Times, the Sporting News coming out and saying his job may be in jeopardy. You know, he is the president and the coach. He's getting near the end of his 4th year of that 5-year deal he signed back in 2014. Is this, I mean, he's made the playoffs once? Since he's been there?
Yeah.
At some point, does that organization have to go, maybe this isn't working, either stripping Van Gundy of the presidential role and just letting him focus on coaching, or just moving on completely?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is his team. He put this together. When he came in, he made a lot of changes. Now, he technically has handed over the scouting duties, but he does have the final say on player personnel moves. But yeah, I mean, if you're the owner there, Tom Gores, you have to say, we've given you 4 years, next year's going to be 5. If they're not getting closer and they're not even making the playoffs, you have to wonder about Stan's long-term future there. He's tried things. He's tried to shuffle the lineup.
They took a big chance getting Blake.
That's exactly right. They were 4 games back of the playoff spot when they traded for Blake. And now, as of today, as of tonight, they're 5 games back.
Yeah.
So they didn't get any closer.
They've had
there.
injuries, but every team has injuries.
Yeah, I mean, but Blake and Andre Drummond, they've played all right. No one else is really contributing all that much. And I'm with you, Tass. They need Reggie Jackson back. But that's also, if you're asking Reggie Jackson to come in and save your season, turn it around, that's not something
I know
really
Reggie
wanna do.
Jackson doesn't have a great reputation in this league right now, but they had a winning record. They're 19-14 with him in the lineup. He provided, he produced, but he just has some questionable injuries. He's had that sort of knee lingering injury.
Yeah.
He's out basically 2.5 months with an ankle injury. Stanman gets next year, I assume, because as you mentioned, they got a lot of money locked up.
Yeah.
You don't go trade for Blake Griffin and then, not ride it out for another year at least, I imagine.
But we all agree, lock that in. Pistons are not making the playoffs. Trey, ultimately your decision, though.
Yeah, you guys talked me in. I'm going to have to lock it in.
Lock it in, lock it in.
Lock it, talk it. Lock it, talk it. You get it.
Come on, you got
Anyways,
lock it,
I'm
man.
sorry, I don't got the moves, man. I don't got the moves today. I got to read these things. Anyways, thanks to a Tristan Thompson injury, the Cavs' Larry Nance got his first start since being traded to Cleveland and promptly went out and scored a career-high 22 points while grabbing a career-high 15 rebounds in that win over the Pistons. Thompson's supposed to miss multiple games, but maybe Larry Nance should continue to start over Tristan Thompson. Should I lock it in?
What do you think?
I would lock it in, yeah. Because only 1 game, but he's got a 2-week basically free hit here to try to figure things out. And statistically, when he's been on the floor since he came over from the trade, offensively and defensively with LeBron, Larry Nance has been very good. I think what he lacks defensively, he makes up for offensively because he just runs to the rim and he gives LeBron an option to throw that ball. He's like a sort of young Blake Griffin in the way that you just throw that ball up, you know he's going to get it. He sets good screens, he rolls hard to the rim. He showed
off the jumper
Yeah, that's what I was
last night.
about
He
to
hit
say.
3 or 5 jumpers.
That's the key. If he can knock down that consistently, because then teams can't cheat off him. If they're going to leave him open and he's going to miss those jump shots, then they can lag back. It doesn't affect them. But if he knocks that in, then all of a sudden it changes things for the Cavs. And they need some fresh blood. They need some energy in there. I like this move.
I think when Tristan Thompson comes back, he should start at center. Number one, he kind of puts Kevin Love back at that 4 spot. He's their most sort of traditional center. You got to get minutes out of Tristan Thompson because they're sort of thin up front. And LeBron loves his vets. He wants Kendrick Perkins back on this team. LeBron.
He loves his vets, but he also loves Larry Nance Jr. You saw the comments after
he
last
can finish
night.
the game. He can finish
Right,
the game.
okay, I see what you're
I
saying.
think Tristan just got to come eat some of those minutes. And LeBron, he's got to sort of ride with those 4 horsemen. The only guys left are JR, Tristan, himself, and Kevin Love from those championship-winning teams. I think he wants to look at those dudes when they walk out of the locker room, and then Larry Nance can play a lot of minutes. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Trey, do you lock it in? Larry Nance Jr.? That's his starting spot. He's not letting go of it.
You got that right, Skeets. I'm going to have to
Lock it in. I think that's smart.
Poor Tristan, man.
All right, he'll play like you said. Oh, yeah. There you go. There, pop lock it in. There we go.
feeling it, right?
A little bit. I love LeBron and Larry Nance together, but the Spurs beat the Grizzlies last night, giving them 37 wins on the year, meaning they'll need to win 13 of their last 18 to maintain their 50 wins in a season streak. They've got the hardest schedule in the league left to play, so there's a good chance the Spurs won't win 50 games this season, but should I lock it in?
Ooh. Do we doubt the Spurs? Who doubts the Spurs? I'm going to say, lock it in. I don't think they hit 50 wins. I think making the playoffs is going to be difficult here. They got to win 13 of their final 18 to hit the 50-win mark. I don't think they're going to do it because they've struggled against really good teams, and they have an unbelievably tough schedule from here on out. I mean, 6 of their next 7 games are against the Warriors, the Thunder, the Rockets. Then you got the Magic, Pelicans, Wolves, and the Warriors again. And then it just keeps getting tough. The Jazz are in there. The Clippers are in there. All these teams trying to get into the playoffs. I don't think they get to 50. I think they finish around 47, 48 wins, and it'll be interesting to see if that's enough to get a 7th or an 8th spot.
I absolutely cannot argue. They need Kawhi Leonard back to help out LaMarcus
that's
Aldridge.
right.
I mean, the fact that they're 9 games above 500 with their best player only playing 9 games this season with LaMarcus Aldridge being banged up, it's still a heck of an accomplishment. It's just a tough conference to play in.
It's the defense, which is actually surprising that the Spurs haven't been playing well lately. Teams have been able to score pretty easily on them in the paint. Now, injuries to Aldridge and Gasol certainly don't help. But usually Popovich just finds some guy that no one's ever heard of and he becomes an elite level defender. But that hasn't been happening. Teams have been taking advantage of that. And this is probably the weakest the Spurs have looked in quite some time. but I still think they get out of it. I still think they make the playoffs.
You still think they make the playoffs, but
Yeah,
not 50?
yeah, not 50 wins. I just think 10 games over 500 is still plenty to
Yeah,
play.
it was weird though to hear the Spurs say a game against the Grizzlies was a must-win.
and they just pulled it out.
They just pulled out. Tony Parker was huge down
Yeah.
the stretch, hitting the shots. All right.
We're not getting 50 wedgies. The Spurs might not be getting 50 wins.
Wow, Trey, lock it in, my man.
You guys make some great points, but I can not lock this one in. I can't do it. I can't do it. Not on the Spurs. Not on the
Can't
Spurs.
doubt the Spurs.
Yeah, we're not going to pop it in either.
All right, we got to take a break.
Sorry.
But when we come back,
Popovich it in.
oh yeah, Ricky Davis is in the house. He'll join us live here on set. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Starters.
Welcome back to the show tonight on Area 21 with Kevin Garnett, Sam Mitchell, Liberty head coach Katie Smith, and the man with us right now, it's Ricky Davis. Thank you so much for joining us, Ricky. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Speaking of Kevin Garnett, spent some time with him in Minnesota. You know, we've hung out with him a bit, hung out with him in the hallways. He's always an energetic guy, getting you pumped about something. Is that how he was when you played with him in Minnesota?
He's definitely animated. You know, it's from the layup line to film, you know, to going to bed. And he's just pretty sure he's animated going to bed. But he's an amazing guy. You know, he taught me what it really takes for dedication and hard work, and you know the passion in the game he puts. So it's just amazing.
Does that just show off on other guys, just wear off on other guys, his intensity and the way he is off the court? Does that just lead to him being like that on the court for everybody else on his team as well?
It does. It just rubs off on everybody. You know, from the first to the 15th guy on the bench. You know, guys' passion for the game, guys' dedication, being there early. You know, never taking a practice off and a playoff, because he's like, get out of there, KG, you got to rest. He's like, no, thank you. You go rest. You know, so it's just amazing just being around him. You know, it's just a ball of energy.
All right, I know you've been asked this a million times, the triple-double scenario. I'll try and ask it a little bit of a different way, just to remind people you're a rebound short, so you threw it up on your own rim, thinking that you get another rebound. Now, looking back, do you think you should have been awarded that 10th rebound?
I definitely should. Might as well, yeah.
Why
It's
not?
a rebound, it's a shot.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was thinking in my head. I was back at the park.
Right.
You know, so I needed this triple double. I was chasing. It was like the 5th game away, and they're yelling at the bench from like 5 minutes away. They're like, "You need 1 rebound." So the whole 5 minutes, I'm chasing this rebound. So, and this is like the 4th game where I'm 1 assist or 1 rebound away. So, you know, it was kind of a selfish moment when I was young, but you know, I had to get it.
27-point
I had to
game,
get it.
though,
Yeah, I had a great game.
Yeah.
I was young.
Yeah.
So it was great.
I
So
don't
that's
know.
where
I
that
don't know
rolled
why
away.
Deshaun Stevenson fouled you.
Yeah,
I didn't
found
get
me
it.
kind of hard there. Yeah. They were a little angry.
Yeah. All right, we all looked at your best dunks up in the office today. I know we got our picks for what we think is your best dunk, but what do you think is your best dunk from your career?
My best one probably is Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Steve Nash, or maybe when I was in Charlotte. I think I almost gave myself a mohawk.
Yeah, we saw both of them. I mean, this is
Definitely this one.
this is the monster on Steve
Kind
Nash.
of took off.
Oh man.
Did you even think he was there? Did you care
He
that
just
he
kept
was there?
backing up, and he just disappeared out the picture. And you know, I got so excited because I almost fell, and then I kind of grabbed my arm at the last second. I grabbed the rim, so it was kind of shocking. Yeah, but he just disappeared.
He was long gone.
Yeah.
The putback was amazing. What about the one between the legs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In a game, you
No
went
one
between your legs.
ever has done it yet. So
Is that true?
yeah,
No one else.
has done it in the game. So
There are some guys
I got
pretty
it.
close here still.
Yeah.
They're on your half of the
so
court, man.
I got it.
Yeah.
That's
Did
amazing.
the coach say anything to you after that?
No, not at
he was
all.
Fine with it?
It was actually Lucas. He was over there going crazy.
Speaking of
great guy.
dunks, though, I don't think, especially kids out there, maybe a lot of people forget, you were in my opinion, the greatest dunk contest of all time.
Yeah.
You know, 2000 in Oakland, Vince Carter bringing the dunk contest back, Tracy McGrady, Steve Francis, and you were in it. I believe you finished actually 4th.
It was amazing.
You had some pretty solid dunks
It had
in
some
a
pretty
game.
good ones. The only thing is they were still cheering for Vince Carter.
Yeah.
You know, like 4 dunks later.
Yeah.
So, it was tough. It was fun though. You know, I was a young guy and just going out there. That was the year Bobby Fields had died. So just going out there representing Bobby.
Yeah.
It was a great thing.
Cool.
I know you talked about today's game and you looked at it and you said you'd like to, you know, you'd think you'd fit in today's game. Is there a modern day Ricky Davis out there that you look and you kind of think about yourself?
Oh yeah, I'll probably average like 40 points. You know, just barrel right to the rim.
Get buckets.
You know, and flop. You know, so it's just no hand checking and
Yeah,
you know,
it's a different game.
the day when I came in, it was hand checking, and NBA was no boys allowed. So,
Right.
Right.
You know, now it's the days of the young generation and a lot of freedom and movement, and you know, they want to bring the scores up a lot. So I can understand that. So I think I would average about 40 points. It's just easy now. It's definitely soft.
One thing we were talking about, we see a lot of guys get crossed up and dropped. You know, James Harden dropping Wesley Johnson last week. Would you rather be dropped like that or posterized? Which
Yeah.
would you-
Definitely posterized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that broken ankle is that's a bad one. Yeah, that's
Right.
tough. It's hard to get back on that one.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having
See
me.
you, Ricky Davis, tonight on Area 21. We got to take a quick break here, but after it, some Lance blowback. What happened between Lance Stevenson
Lance blowback.
and the Jet?
Oh man, he's great.
The Starters is brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey, official partner of the NBA.
Back with the starters, right into the up-down report. Let's get some thumbs on some topics. First one, in the wake of the pay-for-play scandal rocking college basketball, the NBA is considering stepping in and being more involved with developing elite basketball players right out of high school. ESPN's Brian Windhorst reports that the NBA might look into adjusting the one-and-done age limit rule for players who want to enter the NBA draft. So guys, are you up or down on the NBA possibly getting rid of the one-and-done rule? What do you think? Thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't think it's worked because people aren't going to school to take it seriously. They're just doing it because they're not allowed to
right.
play in the NBA, so they have to go and do it. A couple of guys are going overseas, but it's not working. I think it's time for the NBA to look at a new strategy and try to get players top-level coaching as young as possible and playing with men at a young age, like in the D League or G League, and then working it out from there. But the college system right now, we see what's going on as well with the pay-for-play scandal. Get out of that and just get the players learning from proper coaches, and hopefully they're more ready for the NBA.
While making a living.
While making a living, yeah.
Exactly
Right.
Yeah, Lee nailed it. Playing against men is the big thing. Everybody agrees NBA coaching is going to be better than college coaching, and you want to see the players play against grown-ups rather than playing against high school guys. So maybe this is the way to make the G League what everybody is hoping the G League can be. I think it's pretty obvious that something needs to change.
Yeah, I agree. You got to elevate the reputation of the G League, which is on its way to getting there, and just there's a lot of issues I think with the NBA, you know, dealing with high school players as well. So I think the front office is definitely working on that as we speak, and then we go from there. But it sure seems like it's a good idea in theory, right?
All right, next one. Lance Stevenson may have gotten a taste of his own medicine, really, on Monday night after Jason Terry knocked down a corner three. The Bucks guard turned to Lance and appeared to blow in Stevenson's ear. Now, the Jet denied he did it, saying post-game, quote, "I ain't gonna steal another man's move." This is obviously an infamous Lance blowing in the ear of LeBron James way back when. But are you guys up or down on the Jet blowing in Lance's ear? You gotta love this league.
I don't think he blew in his ear.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I just think he had a little close convo.
Close combo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just up on it because I want to believe it's true. You remember Jason Terry, 2011 Finals. He saw Dwayne Wade and LeBron celebrating in their huddle, and he said that was the changing moment for the Mavericks. So I would like to think that in the heat of the moment, he would remember about the Lance Stevenson blow and blow right back in his face. Jason Terry's the right guy to do it.
He's still got so much passion for the game.
Yeah.
His age, I think it's great, and he's still getting involved with the kids. You know?
That was pretty funny.
Staying hip like you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Final one. Final one. Happy birthday to the Big Diesel. Yes, the one and only Shaquille O'Neal turned 46 years young today. What do you get, the big man with seemingly everything? Maybe Steve Nash's 2005 MVP. Possibility. Are you guys up or down on Shaq being the most entertaining player of all time?
Yeah, sure.
On,
think so.
off the court. Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
The reason is because my wife, who's not a huge basketball fan, knew who Shaq was and knew what he got up to. And I think that sort of is what brings people together to Shaq, because it's like you don't have to be a basketball fan to know him and to enjoy
Right.
the sort of stuff that he got up to. So,
She's a big Shaq Fu fan.
yeah, I mean, you know, he's
Rapid.
always entertaining, smiley when he's Shaka Claus and all that. Like he's always in the community doing great stuff, and obviously on the court he was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, and everybody jokes about his rapping and movies career, but Shaq Fu went platinum. Kazam debuted at number 3. People love Shaq.
Yeah.
The guy knows how to entertain. He has so many iconic moments from before the Twitter era that continue to live in the Twitter era. You still see Shaq dunking on Chris Dudley all the time. Seeing with the pointing, you know, like the
Great
glasses will come down, deal
Yeah.
with it. It's awesome. Shaq, he's the man.
Can't disagree.
Happy birthday to the big Diesel out there. We got to take a break. When we come back, Lily hits us with a very solid play, so don't go anywhere. Flyers only, baby. Tonight on TNT, Rockets Thunder, Pelicans Clippers. Oh yeah, that is a double header if I've ever seen one. We asked you, which is why I was saying Flyers only, baby, for some other only babies. Fire that pun gun. Hashtag the starters. Trey, you got a few of the best answers.
We're gonna blast through a bunch here because they're pretty hilarious. Our director, JD, Slayers only, baby. Pablo Prigioni, baby. Twinkle only, baby. Players holding a plate with a platypus on a plate at a play, baby. Pele's only, baby. Very solid players only, baby. Pilates on the playa only, baby. Player haters only, baby. Love it. Have to give a shout out to Flayers only, baby.
no.
Sailors only, baby. Beards only, baby. Hey, I know that guy. Ballers only, baby. Power Rangers only, baby. Blazers only, baby. Babies only, baby. Pinata only, baby. And the final one, pizza
Yeah.
only, baby. So many good.
Pele's only, baby.
Pele's
That's the
only,
winner.
baby. Very funny.
That's very, very good. All right, tomorrow is the day Lee will pay off his February pick'em loss. Oh, what will it be? Now, Lee has an idea. There's been a lot of talk about chicken McNuggets recently.
Wow, awesome.
There's been a lot of talk about soup recently.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, maybe those will come into play. We'll see tomorrow on Tomorrow Night Show. Okay, tonight's pick and play, Pelicans Clippers. As I said, this one's on TNT, second game, big game, both teams. Trey, Lee, and Tass, take the Clips at home. Give me those Pelicans. Won 8 straight. You guys are crazy betting against them. All right, Lee, VSP.
Yeah, beautiful one here from the Jazz. We've seen a lot of this season. The ball is a little pump fake party. The ball fizzes around, ends with the Swedish swish for a swish bomb. That's what I call a very solid play.
Very, very solid play. Now it's time for the highlight that wasn't. Just because a play wasn't converted doesn't mean it wasn't fantastic. And this play from Donovan Mitchell, the rookie sensation, was great. Not only that, sort of dropping Aaron Gordon, and then tries to jam on Jonathan Simmons. A foul was called, but the handles,
This is nice.
the split.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness.
Twitter show had a blast this morning. You can go listen to that, watch that actually. Lee wanted to give out an award for Kid Chugging Popcorn Award. Here's a clip.
What about kid in the crowd eating far too much popcorn? You know, on League Pass, you know, they always come back to the crowd. You always see one little kid with a massive bucket and he's just like going for goal.
Well, there was the one kid, he wasn't even using his hand, right? Wasn't he just like eating it
Face it.
straight?
Yeah, and his whole face was like, you know, taken up by the bag. And he's like,
And there was,
Oh,
and
dude,
there
that's
was-
a gift right there. I hope I got that. Someone please grab that. Oh, yeah. The internet always delivers. That's it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern.